Good day, dear students. We are here again to look, listen, and learn about science with Mrs. Peanut. For today's lesson, we will be talking about constellations and describe its origin. Just like to remind you, we are now on the 8th week of 3rd quarter in Science 9. So come on and let's start our discussion. Before we proceed to our lesson today, let us answer first some few questions. What is a natural luminous body visible in the sky, especially at night? Blank is a huge sphere of very hot glowing gas. And what represents the most fundamental building blocks of galaxies? Of course, your answer must be the stars. Can you still remember the time when we were still in grade school level and used to do this kind of activity in the classroom? You are correct, class. This is a connect the dot activity. Kids usually have to connect the dots of a particular picture following the number sequence starting from 1 and ends to a particular number and form the complete appearance of the picture. Let me show you some more examples of this kind of kids learning activity. What do you think would this picture be? Yes, class, this is a picture of a dinosaur. How about this one? That's awesome! This picture is a butterfly. How about this one? Yes, correct! A picture of the famous game character Super Mario. Very good, class! Just like the connect the dot activity, constellations are also of the same idea. When you look up the clear night sky, you will see many stars of different groups, forming different shapes and appearances. You will be able to form a picture out of the stars' different patterns, just like this. And this. That is how we describe a constellation. Constellations are regions in the sky in which stars appear to be grouped together in a pattern. These came from the imagination of ancient people to tell mythological stories. The idea of constellations was adopted by science to help astronomers keep track of the movement and location of stars. Constellations change positions throughout the year. Due to the Earth's rotation, stars appear to move. As the Earth rotates from west to east, the stars appear to rise in the east, moving across south to set in the west. The sun will appear to move through the stars, making one complete circuit of the sky in 365 days. Many of these constellations have names that can be traced back to early Babylonians and Greek civilizations. Are you familiar with the constellation I am showing you now? Correct, class. This is the Big Dipper. How about this one? Do you see any pattern in this constellation? What do you think this pattern would look like? This is how the given constellation would look like. This is called as the Orion, or also known as the Hunter. Look and observe this constellation and how the stars are arranged in a group. You will notice the 3 stars arranged to look like a belt at the middle of the Hunter. We call it Tres Marias here in the Philippines. Let's take a look at another constellation. What form do you see? Do you see a bull? By this time, you might not be seeing the correct form of the constellation because, to tell you class, it's not all the time that the pattern in such particular constellation is always easy to see. Sometimes, the forms or picture is hidden. That one given constellation is known as the Taurus. If you still remember the Orion, you would actually notice that, based on position, the Orion and Taurus are near with each other and facing each other as well. If you easily notice where the Orion is, you would also see the Taurus just beside it. But during summer in the Philippines, the constellations of Orion and Taurus are not visible at night. I will explain it to you later as we go along with our discussion. Let me show you this diagram. Do you still remember earlier I told you about the constellations Orion and Taurus not being seen in the night sky during summer? Here is the explanation. The revolution of the Earth from the Sun is responsible for the fact that we can see different parts of the sky at different parts of the year. If you refer to this diagram, you will see that the Orion and Taurus constellations will just be visible in the night sky during the months of November to December, or the least during the month of January. Are you familiar with the IAU? That is the International Astronomy Union that considers 88 legitimate record of constellations in the outer space. Zodiac constellations are just a few examples among the 88 recognized constellations by the IAU. Take a look at these examples and make ourselves familiar with our own zodiac constellations. Let's take a look at some more examples of constellations here. What form do you see? Do you see a scorpion? That's correct, class. This is the Scorpius or the scorpion. How about this one? What form do you see? Do you see a woman? You must be seeing a woman from this constellation, and this is called as the Maiden or Virgo. How about here? What do you see? Do you see a horse? This one is the winged horse or the Pegasus. If you want to be familiar with the rest of the 88 constellations, you may search the internet and you will find more examples of constellations. After seeing a lot of examples of different constellations, why do you think we need to study the constellations or the arrangement of stars in the night sky? Do you think we could really benefit from studying all of these? If you're familiar with the Disney movie Moana, you would probably remember how Moana used constellations to navigate the wide oceans. We can actually use the constellations to go to correct directions as you travel by sea without the use of modern technologies, even the compass. We can also use the constellations to tell when to start farming and harvesting specific crops in agriculture. Though it is not the exact time, somehow people can actually tell the season just by observing the arrangement and appearance of constellations in the night sky. Those are the importance of constellations in the humankind. Can you still add more from those ideas? If you think the information are enough already, now you may prepare to take the simple quiz. You may now start to answer the 5-item quiz in multiple choice. Number 1. What are constellations? A. Group of stars seen together. B. Imaginary forms made of group of stars. C. Are balls of fire in the sky. The correct answer is B. Imaginary forms made of group of stars. You are correct. Number 2. Do constellations change positions throughout the year? Yes? No? Or maybe? The correct answer is yes. Absolutely right, class. Very good. What two things determine where the constellations are in the sky? Letter A. The observer's location and the time of the year. Letter B. What will happen in the future and what happened in the past. Letter C. The luck of the observer. The correct answer is A. The observer's location and the time of the year. You are correct. Number 4. How many constellations are recognized now by the International Astronomy Union or IAU? A. 78, B. 88, C. 98. The correct answer is B. 88. Very good, class. And for number 5, what constellation is shown below? A. Taurus, B. Pegasus, C. Virgo. The correct answer is C. Virgo. Very good. And that's all for today in our science class. I hope you have learned a lot about the stars and how these stars can form different patterns and constellations. Do not forget about how important these constellations are. Thank you very much for your time and hope to be with you again for more science experience. Always remember that with Mrs. Peanut, you always have to look, listen, and learn in science. Always be safe and God bless everyone.